Welcome everybody to the latest episode of the T3 Alpha Show. My name is Michael Comeau, and I am here with Dennis Dick, who is co-founder of the Stock Trader Network. He's also a professional trader, and incidentally, the inspiration for me getting into live streaming financial content, because I saw what Dennis was doing at Benzinga and now on the Premarket Prep Show, and I said, I have to get into this. So Dennis, how does it feel to be kind of on the forefront of financial media? Because people are obsessed with the pre-market.
That's funny, and thanks for the nice compliments there. I mean, we've been doing the Premarket Prep Show. We started in 2012, went under the Benzinga umbrella in 2013 with Jason Raznick, and it was a great experience. We've been doing the show. Traders obviously like being informed, and that was the idea, was to come in early in the morning from 8 to 9, bring traders the breaking information, the news, the earnings reports, the macro tape, the feel, the sentiment, just to get you started your day. It's like your cup of coffee. We kind of have pre-market prep. We teach it, we treat it as, this is your cup of coffee. Sit down, have a cup of coffee with us. We'll tell you what's happening. It's not so much that we're like trading live with you or anything, although we do that sometimes. It's more just giving you information and making you more informed, because traders that are informed are better traders. And we're talking just about like all the information, starting your day, getting a feel, are we risk on, risk off, what's the major drivers for the day? That's what we like to talk about on Pre-Market Prep.
Okay, now who is your prime audience? Are they like everyday investors? Are they super active day traders? Who is watching every day? Because I see your engagement numbers are insane, because you're getting over 2,000 viewers on your streams and you have about 7,400 subscribers. So who is that prime audience for you?
Well, it's funny because we didn't have any subscribers back in November because we were with Benzinga for a long time. And then we suddenly left Benzinga back in November, and we're like, okay, well, now what? So we had to kind of launch our own channel. So what happened was a lot of the people hunted us down. We kept the show going on our own channel, Pre-Market Prep, and from there. So that's why our engagement numbers are really high, because we haven't really done any marketing yet, which we're going to try to start doing some marketing in 2026. But, it's mostly the people who do come and find us and actually find us really like us, because one, we're real traders. So it's not like, watching CNBC where you've got, like hosts that, don't trade stocks, that you have, a lot of fundamental analysis, like, talking, like with corporate CEOs and stuff. We're trying to just like trading ideas. We're real traders. So it's myself, Joel Alconin. We did bring Brent Slava, who worked the Benzinga news desk for 10 years. He's our main news guy now, so we do have a news guy there too. And it's the three of us just basically breaking down the news. We bring in guests like T3. We have T3 Tuesday. We find great traders like Scott's been on, obviously, JR. Mesh, we get so many of your traders on too, and we really appreciate that. But the main thing is just, just keeping our audience informed. So that's why we've had such a good following, I think, is because people come, they watch us, and they like us. We're somewhat likable. I think sometimes people hate me too, because I'm very opinionated, so you kind of love me or hate me. But I mean, at least we have an opinion, and that's what I think people come for.
Yeah, well, I would say people hating you is actually a form of love, because the haters are always repeat watchers, because I think there's a lot of TV shows people watch because they hate them. So, but you said you're still trading actively. So how do you balance those two skill sets? Because if you have to see what's going on, communicate it out to the universe, that's a completely separate skill from actually hitting the buttons and doing your own trades and making money. So how do you kind of balance those two worlds?
I don't trade a lot during that show. Like the show is 8 to 9, and I might be Xing trades, but I'm not usually, set up, I like this and I want to go get into this trade. I might be just doing some slight exits and stuff. So it's not like I'm actively trading it. But I do trade the after-hour session. I do trade, the opens and the closes, and I am active in the pre-market. It's always a tricky thing trying to trade and do a show. I think when I first started pre-market prep in 2012, it's something I very much struggled with. It's like, oh, you've got your train of thought going. Now I've got a trade going. Now I stop speaking, and I'm like, oh, what's happening here now? Oh, sorry, I've got to just go do a trade here. I think because I've traded professionally for 27 years now, I've been doing the podcast for 11. I can kind of do a lot of it unconsciously. So even if I'm making a trade, I can probably still keep my train of thought going, which is just experience is all that is. And my background to trading is extensive. So I started retail from 1996 to 1999. Got out of university and joined Bright Trading, which in the Detroit office under Joel Alconin in May of 1999. And I traded professionally with Bright Trading until 2022. And I just went on my own in the last 3 years. But with Bright Trading, I've done everything from flat out market making and arbitrage back in the day and high frequency algorithms running to now. I'm doing more statistical arbitrage, a lot of quantitative analysis, and technical. So obviously too, we use that as well. But more, I've moved them from probably like short-term scalper to like position trading, where I'm like in these trades, not for days or weeks or months or years, but not in there in and out in seconds. It's more minutes to hours. So like getting a setup, sticking with it, a lot of overnight trading. So my trading's evolved over the years. But to answer your original question, it's just experience to be able to trade and do a podcast at the same time. It's not easy.
Okay, so are you a market addict? Because I mean, a lot of the pros I know, they can't go on vacation. They're like they're texting me stuff about like this chart or that chart, and they don't really escape. So I would assume you have a fairly long workday, because if you're doing pre-market stuff, managing your own trading, managing a business, at the end of the day, like, can you actually shut off?
I've gotten better at it over the years. It was probably very difficult to do like 10 years ago. Like I'm 49 years old. I've got my kids. They're 8 and 11 now. So I can actually, I think I've learned that though over the years. Like if you went back and asked me that question 10 years ago, I'd probably say, no, I can't shut it off. I go on vacation, I'm checking my phone every 20 minutes, what's happening, what's going on with the S&P, what's going on with the major stocks, Microsoft, Apple, Google, I got to see what's happening here. I try to now separate it to a certain extent. So my hours are very interesting too. So I trade typically 7 a.m. I usually start trading, and then I'm trading from 7 to 8. And then I do the podcast from 8 to 9. And then we've got our own Stock Trader Network chat room that we go into, and I'm trading in there, doing some live trading in there 9 to 10. And then I take a break from trading, usually around 10, 10:30. I back off from the markets. It's slower. Intraday trading has changed over the years. It's dominated by high frequency traders. It's not as many edges as it used to be. So I usually, from 11 to 2, I'm usually doing some lunch stuff. Maybe I'm running some errands. I'm getting away from the market for a few hours. I come back, usually around to my desk around 2:30, 3 o'clock, seeing what's happening, getting a feel, maybe making a few trades. And then at 3:30 to 5, we do another podcast on Stock Trader Network where I'm doing live trading, live after hours, live news breaking with Brent. So we're just basically trading headlines and giving those headlines. So, and then at 5 o'clock, I usually eat some supper, and then I come back to my desk. And if something's going on, I will trade till sometimes 8 p.m. But a lot of times, I take little bits of breaks in there too. So it's kind of like chopped up hours. When you add it all up, I'm probably working an 8 or a 9 hour day, but I'm not like I'm working from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single day. Now you introduce the overnight session too, and that gets interesting because now with Robinhood, with Interactive Brokers, you can trade 24 hours a day on some of these stocks. So, I mean, if you were a real addict, you could probably never sleep.
Yeah, and it looks like we're getting extended hours for options trading. So now, do you think it's sort of a golden age for financial media? Because, I mean, like at least from what I see, Trump is just generating like nonstop news, and then on top of that, we have like the AI boom, and then all the associated booms and nuclear and power and all of that stuff. Like, so do you think this is kind of a golden age for activity because there's just so many things to talk about? I mean, with the shutdown now too.
I think it's a golden age for trading just because of social media. I mean, I think about where trading was 15, 20 years ago before everybody was on Twitter, call it X now, on their Discord rooms or Reddit rooms, wherever you are. But I mean, social media just carries information so quickly. Like before, you had to have a Bloomberg terminal. You needed, all that information. Now, it's different. Yeah, it's still, they're still good to have, news feeds. And I do subscribe to a number of news feeds. But I mean, social media in itself drives price. Like the whole GameStop thing that happened, obviously, back to 2021. I mean, that kind of changed markets where, you have like groups of traders that go in and like are moving price, and obviously, Roaring Kitty was, one of the innovators here with a huge following and taking a stock from $2 to $350 by, everybody getting on board was crazy. I mean, recently we saw a similar situation with Eric Jackson and Open Door, where you have these, media influencers that can really drive price. So I think social media has just changed trading all around, and information sharing is very, much at its core. And sometimes it's disinformation too. I mean, we get a breaking headline yesterday coming from some news source out of UK that was looking like it was ABC News, but it was this ABC News affiliate that was breaking, that Papa John's was going to get a $65 bid. Stock gets halted, goes up, and everybody's like, well, I don't know if this is real or not. And we still don't know. Maybe the rumor was real. Maybe they did have a breaking. But, at the end of the day here, it's just the information age. Sometimes that information is real, and sometimes that information is not real. Being able to decipher through that is an edge in itself.
Okay, yeah, I mean, but do you think all this information is a net positive, though?
I think so. I think it makes traders. I think we've got to go back and probably just say, there's excellent technical traders, there's excellent fundamental investors, but there's also people who can decipher through that information. It's just a different type of trading, like deciphering through information and being able to understand how is this going to impact price. Obviously a rumor of a stock going up on a buyout, it's going to go up. But I mean, you just think about all the other information, like some of these, like information, like, even getting SEC filings to getting everything else. I mean, it's just different. So trading is probably not as simplistic as it used to be. There are so many different reasons for stocks to be moving. I find myself asking this question every single day. Why is that stock going? Like, I mean, a lot of times you'll see, okay, there's a headline. Well, that's obvious. It's going off of that headline. But sometimes you just see stocks going up. It appears for no reason at all. And you're like, well, is it just algos going crazy? But then you find out, no, it's somebody over in a Discord room that's talking about the stock and they really like it. And people are just spreading the word and it's going up. So, I mean, it's just different reasons why price moves now. So it's obviously, an edge in itself if you can figure out why something's moving, that there's a reason behind it, and maybe that reason isn't real. I mean, just like a Papa John's with a rumor coming from, some media source that, nobody really knew what it was, goes from $40 to $50 yesterday, or $49, and it's right back down. So, I mean, there are opportunities in, disinformation as well. If the information is out there and it's wrong, there's an opportunity on the short side too. And I'm not a long only trader. I've traded market neutral for years. So I buy and I short. So, I've just basically considered myself more of an inefficiency trader, where I see, an edge where information is maybe disseminating into the market and it's not fully priced in yet, or maybe the information is in there, but it's wrong. And maybe there's an opportunity where a stock may be up too much on information. So that deciphering of the information is the edge itself.
Okay, so do you follow like things from a fundamental perspective? Like, I mean, I'm thinking about like the big picture themes, like, of course, like, again, AI, quantum computing, like, I mean, do you express opinions on those trends in your trading?
Yes, to a certain extent. And I would say it's more like you got the, like, I do groupings for sure. Like, these stocks are your nuclear stocks, and these are the ones that are moving with this group. And these stocks are, your AI stocks, and these stocks, are your defensive names. Like, it's all about groupings now with the market as well. And I do a lot of, quantitative arbitrage because of that. I mean, the grouping in itself right now, which is interesting, you have the AI stocks and NVIDIA, and you have the nuclear names. They all kind of, the Momo names, they all kind of move together. And then you have the value like people, aren't that interested in value stocks, but they move opposite to the growth stocks right now. Like it used to be, and again, the market's dynamic. It's changing all the time. But I used to see like value, some days market would be up and value stocks are up, growth stocks are up, stocks are just doing well. In this recent market in the last month and a half, it's like value versus growth. So they're fighting for the same capital. So they're literally battling each other. And you see a lot of days where NVIDIA is very strong. Burke.B, Warren, just starts going down because NVIDIA is so strong and they're just taking money out of value and putting into growth. So understanding the rotation and capital rotation on an intraday and overnight basis is a huge edge in itself too. I mean, a lot of this is algorithms too, because you are seeing like Coca-Cola, a staple, move exactly opposite to the S&P most days. Like there was always a little bit of an inverse correlation there, but right now it's very strong and very pronounced. So where you're almost seeing algorithms jumping on this too, that, NVIDIA is really strong, they automatically start selling Coke and Pepsi. So, I mean, just understanding those dynamics will give you an edge too. So lots of different ways to make money in this market. You just got to find the way that works for you.
Okay. So you do think that HFTs and algos, like you think they are having, because I hear some people say that, no, it's the same as it's always been. It's human nature. It's humans programming algos. But like, let's just go back 10 years. Like, do you think things have changed dramatically in the last 10 years?
Completely different. So if I look at where I started professionally, let's take to my professional career when I started in 1999. I mean, Bright Trading and, other prop traders like yourselves, like we were kind of the original high frequency traders. We were sitting there using our algorithms, doing market making, doing different things. Payment for order flow kind of changed and pushed a lot of different firms out of that short-term scalping window and into a longer time frame. So, when I talk about payment for order flow, I'm talking about your orders at Robinhood, obviously getting sent through, the matrix, payment for order flow, getting bought sent to Citadel, to your off-exchange market makers, and then they're trading either directly against those flows or sending them to the market to go for execution there. But your original question, which I've went on a tangent. I do this a lot. I go on tangents. I forget what was originally being asked, but the markets have changed so much, just the structure in itself. So if we look,
okay, all right. So let me jump in then. So, like, what are you doing differently versus 10 years ago?
Extended time frame and understanding those relationships. And we can say, that it's human, nature, the market, but a lot of it is algorithmic, like I would say, especially during the day. So what I'm doing mainly different is I don't really trade during what I would consider more algorithmic trading hours. So between 10:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m., literally 5 hours in the whole middle of the day. That's a lot of algos just battling other algos. And if you talk to other professional traders, they tell you the same thing. Around like lunchtime, like right now, we're doing podcasts. I'm not worried about missing trading time right now. I would never do a podcast with somebody at 4 p.m. when there's news breaking or 4:30 p.m. I would do it middle of the day because this is chop hour. It's algorithms battling algorithms. The market is actually very efficient during these days because there's so many algorithmic traders that are just pricing in all information. They're all on the board. They're all scalping. Everybody's doing the same thing. Their S&Ps are moving, so they're all doing their arbitrage, and they're leaning on, certain orders there, and they're moving it down. They're all leaning on the same thing. And I mean, it's very efficient during the day. If you're a trader that profits from like market microstructure inefficiencies, the middle of the day is really a slow time for you. And you can come in here, and I'm probably going to get chopped up at 12:22 in the middle of the day. I'm probably going to get chopped up at certain times of the day. So yeah, I trade. Yep.
I was going to say, yeah, you might have jinxed yourself by saying that out loud. I only do podcasts in the middle of the day because nothing's. It's funny because I just saw a headline flash. Oracle's debt was downgraded.
Now, and there is.
No,
there is news that breaks during the middle of the day, and that can be an opportunity as well. But I think the opportunity is obviously most news breaks after 4 o'clock. 10 companies release earnings intentionally after 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So the market has like not as much, crazy stuff going on, like people aren't getting caught. A lot of people don't like trading after hours. They like to be flat at 4 o'clock. I'm not that trader. I do a lot of trading, on information stuff. So it's just adapting, to what I was doing, 20 years ago. I was doing market making all intraday, trading 9:30 to 4 o'clock, not even thinking about pre-market and after hours. But the pre-market and after hours session have built so much over the years. A stock like Tesla is as liquid, not as liquid, but is very liquid at midnight. Like you can get in and out for Tesla for the 5 or 10 cent spread at midnight, which is crazy. If you would have went to sessions, back, 20 years ago, it was trade by appointment only after hours. There was no market in a lot of stuff. But as, people have, said, and obviously exchanges are going to eventually extend their hours too. But I mean, this pre-market and after hours session, it's quite liquid in a lot of names. Now you got to stay away from small caps, but if you stay in the mega caps, you can get in and out of that stuff fairly easy. The liquidity is a lot higher than you think.
I mean, like, do you think we are heading towards 24/7, 365 trading of everything?
I think we're already there. I mean, obviously, maybe not
I mean,
weekend.
Well,
Saturdays, Sundays are off. Sunday till 6 o'clock with the S&P futures. But I mean, if you've got a Robinhood account, you can sit here and, not Saturday yet, but eventually probably going to that. And I mean, crypto is already there. If you trade crypto, I mean, you can trade that 24/7. I think the markets are moving to that. I mean,
okay,
you have a lot of risks with after hours trading. The liquidity is less. If you're trying to move big size in and out, I think a lot of institutional traders stay away from it because if you're trying to buy 100,000 shares of a stock, not very easy to do after hours or pre-market. But I mean, if you're a small guy, a retail trader trading 100, 200, 500, 1,000 shares, the liquidity is there for you to trade these hours. So you can kind of pick your hours and and that's what really I'm doing is I'm picking the hours where I'm most profitable. I could probably come in and make money at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day, but I feel like I make more money by trading that information hour, which is 4 to 5. I would call 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock the information hour, where we are getting dumped on information. And there is mispricings that happen. We see these algos overshoot all the time. Stock has earnings. Stock pops, ridiculously up 10% in like 10 microseconds. And then there's just nothing there. So they buy up everything in the book. And then all of a sudden there's this vacuum because they just took out the whole book. And now, if they actually, if there's no follow through buyers, that algo is trying to work itself out and figure it out. And it can actually have violent reversals too. So there's just opportunities, in that illiquidity and those inefficiencies of that, price discovery process, where I think, that's where I make the most money. So I very much participate in the price discovery process between 4 and 5. And I think that's like the power hour for me.
Interesting. It's funny. A friend of mine who barely knows anything about the stock market, she was asking me like why there are trading hours. And I was like, that's a really good question, because if I can buy Apple just as easily as 8:30 a.m. as 10 in the morning, like, what is the point of trading hours? I'm actually trying to find like a good way to answer that question. She's like, so wait a minute. So the trading hours are 9:30 to 4, but you can buy before the trading hours and after hours. It is like, I do think options like need to be extended a little bit just for earnings. Like, I don't know what the liquidity would be like, but it'd be nice if, you have calls on Amazon, it goes up like crazy and you could just cash out on the spot.
Yeah. I think that they're working on that. That's going to come, and you actually are seeing it in some platforms where they're doing the options market makers, though. On these column like Robinhood exchanges and stuff are a little bit like wide. So you're not going to be able to get the liquidity that you would if the exchanges actually extended the hours. That's coming. It's coming, and it's a great question. Do we even need trading hours anymore? I think we're going to, again, at least 24/5. I think we're going to 24/5. I don't know if we're going to 24/7 anytime any soon. Traders need breaks. I was always like, how are they, like, the funny thing is I was always wondering, how the hell are they going to do this overnight session? Like, how are they going to trade stocks at midnight? Because one, who's providing liquidity? But two, what about when a stock goes ex-dividend? Like, how's that going to work? At 11:59, the stock's here. Now it has to immediately replace at 12 o'clock to, count for the ex-dividend because it's the calendar that it looks at. I was like, how is that going to work? The way Interactive Brokers does it, and the way Robinhood would do it, which is genius, is they stop at 8 p.m. It's over. They close, and then they reopen right after 8 o'clock. But that 8 o'clock open, all those trades that you make on that overnight session are marked the next day. So actually, if I go and buy like Microsoft at 8:01 on Interactive Brokers, 8:01 p.m., it's actually marked the next calendar day. So it's actually ex-dividend as soon as that overnight session opens. And that was the smartest way for them to do it, because this was the biggest issue with going 24/7. It's like, you have calendar events here. Stock splits, on this date. Well, what happens? It's going to suddenly just split and the market's open? No, they close at 8 and they reopen, just a few seconds after 8 o'clock on the new pricing. So, it's really smart the way they did it. And that was a big hurdle. And I think the exchanges look at this and say, crap, why didn't we think of this? We should have done this as well. And I'm sure they're working on doing it. So that's, how Robinhood, and again, give Vlad credit because he pioneered a lot of this. Interactive Brokers, obviously, a big involvement there too. And, they got their market maker and they got, liquidity on there, and they gave their traders what they wanted. We have a lot of, you call them degenerates, whatever you want to call them, that are addicted to trading, that want to wake up, want to come home from the, wherever they are. They're, if they're out watching a movie or doing something or out at a bar, come home at midnight and trade stocks. So they're providing that service, and I think it's fun.
Yeah, it's so Interactive Brokers, it's one of my biggest positions. So I'm mostly a long-term investor, so I plan on never selling it. One of the reasons is because, like, I think if they extend trading by 5 more minutes, people are going to show up for 5 more minutes, because I do think people are obsessed and people want action. So I do think there will be people. I don't know what are they like. They're going to be on caffeine pills or something, up all night trading. But it is funny. Like, but I've also heard people say, the reason I don't trade futures is because I don't want to be checking my phone at 2 a.m. when I get up to pee, because I want to break. So I do think, maybe 8 to 8. 8 a.m. to 8 in the morning till 8 at night, and then let everybody go to bed and relax for 12 hours.
It's not going to that, though. It's going the other way. It's going to go 24/5. Like, we're basically 24/5 now with Robinhood. If you're on Interactive Brokers, yeah, you have like the quick flip at 8 o'clock. And then, they stop it, I believe, at 3:50 p.m. or 3:50 in the morning to get ready for the actual exchange open at 4 a.m. because the pre-market session starts on ARCA, and obviously your ECN's there and your other exchanges at 4 a.m. So, I mean, there's those little breaks. S&P futures do the same thing. They break from 5 to 6 just for the reset. So you have those resets. But I mean, the genie, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. We're done. Like, we've gone this way, and they're not going to go back. So the 24/7 is there. Now, people ask this question all the time. Does the overnight session really mean anything? Like, these prices, the stock trades way up. Does it mean anything? It does to a certain extent. And then sometimes the stocks can be completely mispriced after hours too, which give traders opportunities as well. Like, a lot of times retail traders get very excited. You see certain stocks maybe that are very well followed by the retail community trading probably too high after hours. So it's usually more of, maybe, more short opportunities on some of these trades at midnight. But, there's definitely opportunities where information breaks, though, too, at those hours. You could get a stock getting upgraded, downgraded, coming through, and that information getting priced in there very quickly.
Okay, now, like, is this going to change the business of Stock Trader Network and Premarket Prep? Because, like, if we're even wondering if trading hours are necessary, but I mean, do you think there are going to be, and maybe it's even you, 24/7 financial coverage? Because I know, like, now in the middle, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I don't watch CNBC anymore. Like, they used to always run infomercials in the middle of the night. You could be like at 3 in the morning, it's a ShamWow commercial. But do you think financial media is going to have to go 24/7?
I think it's moving to that. And I think some of it is like, you can find financial content really, early in the morning and late at night. I mean, you think about the after hours shows that they do now, even the CNBC, to like Fast Money to Mad Money. Like, it used to be like 4 o'clock, 4 to 5, and it was kind of like after 5 o'clock, there wasn't much happening. And then, it's not that way anymore. You have Fast Money from 5 to 6, and you have their Mad Money show from 6 to 7. And I mean, it's going to continue to evolve, and financial media is going to have to continue to evolve as well. And those hours will get extended. Is it going to be like 24/7 news coverage all the time? Yeah, but it's still like, it's not going to be like it is at 9:30 in the morning when everything is happening. There's not going to be that much news breaking. So if I wake up at midnight, there's some stuff going on, but it's really not that exciting until you get the European open, and then the European stocks open, and we trace them a little bit there. I think the markets are the financial media is moving towards that, but that's going to be a lot slower go. Like, the trading is already almost there. The financial media coverage at midnight, that takes manpower and a lot of money. So the money has to be worth it too. I mean, if traders are tuning in and we could get 5,000 people watching us at midnight, would we put a show there? Probably. Are you going to be able to find 5,000 people? Maybe if you're one of the first ones, but then, then all of a sudden there's another one and another one, and the pie just isn't that big probably for eyeballs at midnight.
Okay, all right, that brings up a good topic. So how do you plan to stand out? I mean, because, like, interest in the market is up, trading volumes are through the roof. There are people that say, okay, we need to be in this financial media business. So how do you stay competitive amid that landscape?
I mean, our biggest thing is content. And that's what we're working on. And, when I was with Benzinga, we were only producing a 1-hour show, Benzinga itself, but me and Joel were just doing the pre-market prep 8 to 9. So it was fairly easy. I can talk, for an hour, no problem at all. Now we're trying to do more coverage, and our goal to be mid 2026 is to have on Stock Trader Network coverage from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we need more eyeballs, we need more manpower, we need more content. Teaming up with companies like T3 to help provide some of that content is excellent. But we're going to need more content too. So it's content creators that are valuable out there, and it's hard to find because, one, you can find a lot of good traders out there. It's difficult to find traders that can talk well as well. So I look back to even when I started, podcasting in 2012, I spoke very poorly. I was a trader, so it was like just awful to listen to. I listened back to myself. I was like, holy crap, I really sucked. I don't know if I'm a great speaker now, but I'm a pretty good trader, and my speaking is good enough. So I think we get to a point where it's difficult to find where you've got good traders that can speak well too. Like that, when you find that, like a Scott Redler, that is like the holy grail, finding traders that can do that, because when they can speak well and they can trade well at the same time, that is awesome. It's hard to find those. So if you're thinking about filling content from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., an average trader might want to come and speak 20 minutes to a half an hour. They don't want to do like I'm doing 3.5 hours a day, which is too much. I want to back that off eventually. So, really your meat and potatoes, an average trader would speak an hour a day. So if you think about 8 to 5 coverage, you're going to need like at least 9 to 10 really good traders. Then you need time off. So content is king right now. And, that's for everything, obviously with YouTube and stuff. It's finding those traders that can actually speak well. That's a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, it's absolutely a rare combination. I think people might not understand how exhausting it is to be on a mic. Like I've done webinars for like 90 minutes where I feel like I need a nap for a week after. So it's exhausting. Like trading is tiring. So it is unbelievable. It is a very rare breed that can be broadcasting, talking, and trading at the same time. It is a very, very, very difficult skill. And it is.
It's learned over time, though. Like I think the trading in itself is hard because you have so many people. You got some people that speak really well and they just can't trade. So it's that combination that's so hard too. Like I had, years and years of experience trading. So it becomes like, looking, at the back of my hand, I can just trade unconsciously. And once you can trade unconsciously, then you can speak and do a multitask, because all multitasking is flipping back and forth, flipping back and forth. If you can unconsciously do something like driving a car and speak at the same time, that's what it's all about, with podcasting.
Yeah, and I do think sometimes the people that are the best speakers and the best communicators are the worst traders. I won't name names, but
CNBC has some fantastic speakers. Like I look, and I'm not going to name names either, but there are some people who are just like, these are unbelievable. That's the skill set on some of these people who have been speaking for years is just fantastic. I mean, Jim Cramer is one of the best speakers that you will ever see. Like he can get on there, he's exciting, he brings energy, he can come in. I mean, just to watch him speak, and his market knowledge is incredible too. I mean, you're doing a call in, in a lightning round, and he knows what all these companies fundamentally do. He will get stumped every once in a while, but just have that much market knowledge too. It's really impressive. So, but yeah, that combination, it's hard to teach that. Like it's hard. It takes time, and it's all it is mic and time on the mic to be able to like speak and trade, and it's difficult to do.
Yeah, I worked for Jim Cramer for 4 years at thestreet.com, and he would read something like 20 newspapers before he got in his office in the morning, and he was in like a small cubicle. Yeah. And but by the time he left, there would be like a 2-foot high pool of newspaper everywhere. Plus he was on his Bloomberg nonstop and getting information from it. But I mean, I feel like success in anything, obsession is the bare minimum. You have to be obsessed to get ahead of anything.
I think so. Like I look at all the best traders that I talk with all the time. We're all addicted to it. I mean, we're all addicts. We're all addicted to trading. It's like, it's an addiction. It's a fascination. But, like, and then you asked me, the original question, can you turn it off? I can, and I do, but it is a struggle still. You're still thinking about it. And it's still like that 10% of your brain that's probably constantly thinking about trading. You're going to bed thinking about your positions, maybe. If you're going to bed thinking about, and then you wake up thinking about it. First thing I do, I wake up in the morning, I grab my iPhone, I see what's the market doing. When I wake up, at 6:30 in the morning. So it's, I think you do have to be obsessed with it to be good. And there's probably, I probably, I'm hyper focused, but, maybe I have ADHD or something. I don't know. Never, when I was young, they didn't test for anything like that. But, some of the best traders probably have a little bit of ADHD.
Oh God, they all do, except Sami Abusad at T3. He used to be a CPA, and he is like the only organized, responsible trader I've ever met.
Sammy's great.
But I'm 99% sure I have severe undiagnosed ADHD myself. So I'm like the most disorganized person in the world. But I do think they're like that ADHD personality that can selectively hyper focus on something and block the rest of the world out. is, I feel like it's almost required for trading.
I think it's definitely a skill set that obviously can't be taught. It's something that's in you. Like I've always been one, and this is I probably just was not diagnosed with it as a kid, but I'm like I don't get like like I'm watching a hockey game, and I was like, why would anybody ever spend any money on those boards, the hockey boards and stuff? Because I don't notice any of them. And then my kid's sitting there, he's like, oh man, look at that ad, look at that ad. I was like, I'm watching the game. I don't even notice. Like I don't even see those ads. Like they don't process in my brain because I'm so hyper focused on the game, and I'm addicted to watching hockey too. So much like watching the stock market. So I just don't see all that stuff. That's why I probably don't value marketing and advertising that much, because it doesn't work on somebody like me because I don't see the ads. But to maybe normal people, maybe it jumps out and bites you in the nose, these ads. So I got to maybe turn off my ADHD brain and turn on to try to actually figure out how to market or show better.
No, I mean, I think marketing works if it's related to something like you're actually interested in. Like, I'm sure you'll pay attention. But yeah, I mean,
I think like you're right.
But like,
it's selective perception.
So, what hockey team do you like?
Oh gosh, I'm Canadian, but I've liked the Edmonton Oilers since I was a little kid. It was Wayne Gretzky.
Oh God, yeah, you had like the absolute glory days of hockey then.
But I was so young I didn't appreciate it back then. So when they had their last cup, I was 14 years old, and I just only knew winning. Like 80s. Like I'm born in 1976, so 81, 82, 83, the Oilers, and then they win the cup 84, 85, 87, 88, 90. All I knew was winning. And then you go through this like years and decades here since we've got there, and we've got to the Stanley Cup final 3 times, since then, and lost them all. And it's like we get so close the last 2 years, and Connor McDavid's right there. I'm like, oh, now we stink again, it seems like this year. So it's like, sports, you have a love-hate with it. It's awesome when your team is doing well, and absolutely sucks when your team is crappy. So it's, sports, I sometimes think I'd be better if I didn't watch sports. I'd have an easier life, because my hockey team can ruin my day more than a bad stock trade.
Yeah, I had a lot of rough times in the 90s with the New York Knicks because they would come like this close, and then Michael Jordan would come in and ruin everything for everybody. Okay, so we're going to close out in a couple minutes. Guys, if you're enjoying this conversation, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, hit the follow button. You can also leave comments on Spotify, so go do that down below. So Dennis, it is time for some rapid fire questions before we close out. Okay, number 1, what is your favorite breakfast food?
I have a smoothie every morning. Just a vegan smoothie. I joke I'm vegan till noon, because I have my morning smoothies usually around 10:30 a.m. and I eat whatever the hell I want after 12.
Okay, what's the best concert you've ever been to?
Oh man, that's a good one. Probably Tragically Hip. I'm Canadian, like the Hip, was a huge fan. Saw them at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. Awesome concert.
Okay, if I gave you $1 million and you could put it in, and you had to put it in one stock and hold it for 20 years, what would it be? It could also be an ETF or cryptocurrency, but I give you $1 million, you got to hold it for 20 years. What would it be?
Wow, that is a tough question. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have said Tesla. Tesla's come up a little bit, and I'm not 100% convinced that would still be my pick anymore. But I do think that Tesla is going to be the physical AI company. I do think that they're eventually going to master full self-drive. I do think Optimus could be one of the best products. I've kind of drank a little bit of the Elon Musk Kool-Aid. I am long Tesla in my long-term portfolio. I've been long it for a number of years here now. So I believe in that story, but at the same time, the valuation is extreme. It's run a long ways from where, we were looking back at it when it was 130, 150, 180. We've come quite a ways here. I think it would be Tesla, but I'm torn here now too. I also, and there's going to be new companies that come too. So this is going to be an ever-changing question. I also believe in Lisa Su and AMD. And I think AMD is going to start eating some of the NVIDIA pie here. And, I got a $5 trillion NVIDIA, which maybe some people would say overvalued. And then you have AMD at around 500 billion, so about 10% of the market cap. I think that spread could close a bit. I think AMD could come up, NVIDIA could come in. I think AMD is going to start getting some of that market share. But if I'm just looking at where I think the world is going, I think Tesla's going to be a big part of physical AI. So I'm going to pick Tesla.
Okay, what is your favorite Wall Street or trading related movie?
There's some good ones, but I think I like Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, just the it was just an awesome movie. That Matthew McConaughey scene in the beginning of it
Yeah.
to, you know, the whole entire like movie was just awesome. It was really well done, really funny. And it kind of just like, you know, was the whole boiler room redone thing. It was just awesome. I love Wolf of Wall Street. So I think a lot of, you know, traders probably would pick, you know, the traditional ones, you know, back from the day, but I'm going to go with Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, you know, Trading Places keeps coming up. Everybody go. A lot of people go with Trading Places. Yeah,
fantastic movie. You know, Eddie Murphy, obviously Dan Aykroyd, they did an awesome job with that. That would be like one of my right near the top. I don't know. I just really like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 3 hours of amazing comedy skits. Okay, all
I'm
right.
laughing so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Final question. What should people do if they want to follow you and keep in touch with you?
You can go find us obviously on Twitter. I'm Triple D Trader. We have the Premarket Prep show. So if you just Googled Premarket Prep, you would find us. It's from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then Stock Trader Network. If you just want to Google Stock Trader Network, that's where our network where it's now hosting Premarket Prep. We're going to be launching a number of shows in 2026. So we'll continue to expand content over there. We have a paid chat room, but we're still moving and launching more free content in 2026 as well. So we're going to continue to evolve and be launching more free content on Stock Trader Network.
Awesome. Okay, we will put links down below, so you can also visit the description and you can get links to follow Dennis and Stock Trader Network. Okay, Dennis, thank you for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Michael, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it. Love the T3 guys.
Awesome. Thanks.